And this time we go to the next line, so we go back to the restricted area, which is our left side. Position 0 is our left side, and we are moving to the next line by the size I of the previous button, because all the buttons in this line was the same size. So here we have next line of the buttons, and in this case we have here prompt about what map what is the current level of the map. So if we are, this is just a description, if we are in the ground, underground, underdark, underwater map, or air, or whatever. Yeah, this is a list of available levels. So this is just a description. In this case we construct the string that way. This is a level, its name, where we are. These buttons have a text left and right, so this is a plain button plus such kind of text, and those execute a function. So if we click them, this function will be executed, which will move a map to another level. Yeah. In most cases descriptions are bullshit. So we create the next button, which is scale factor. Scale. By clicking it we can change the minimap show scale. So maybe I'm gonna present it. So to show functionality of those buttons, we can scale down the minimap, so we see the menu is scaled to this given size of this surface, because this button is a special button. It is surface, one of many special buttons, which we're gonna see in the lookup table for pictures for the buttons. And in case we click on the minimap, it will move us to the designated area. So we are now going over some kind of deep sea. We are here. So those are functions executed by some buttons. So as we see, some functions are executed, and this is those two buttons, S minus S plus, we seen previously. Here is the scale of the map we seen. Some disclaimer here we need. So in case you're about to generate a bigger map that is 32 by 32, the current map generation is a very tedious process, checking map back and forth. So you can take a coffee before it will be done. So in case of my i5 CPU, it's taking some time. So I just showed how those buttons work. So this function was executed. How they're executed I show later on. Both these functions are same, so change scale, and in the carry we are just carrying where we're gonna go with this number. So +1, -1. So this is where the carry is used for first time, but it could be much more sophisticated, and this button between was showing our scale. So this was just the number we see on the screen, and depending on which level we are in, so air, ground, we were on the ground. This is a different button loaded, so we have a choice of the buttons to load, and the main important thing it is what is the name of the picture here. So for now the only difference is the picture we load, and in this case it would be surface ground minimap moved. So it is about creating minimap and moving around it, because recreating a surface for minimap could be tedious, and it will be time consuming. We do not need to spend the processor power on this thing. This is the info. Just because there is more text here, the lines are just moved that way, but there is no other difference. between those buttons. So the button structure is exactly the same. So we have some function here which I showed, which is moving us by minimap, and here we have showing standard right click this info. Okay, so we have all the maps here, and the main difference is loading different picture, but maybe I will add something later on. So for prototyping I just made it as different buttons that have a difference only in the picture. So now we're gonna go to a bit more sophisticated menu, which in this case is palette menu. This was the menu on the right bottom when we started. So same way, minimized, maximized menu, and the buttons we have here. This one is for moving. This is the name of the menu we have opened. This is minimizing button, so everything as previously. This is the button that shows us a current paint we choose. So this is a sub function of this menu, and in case we are adding reverse or deleting them, it is switching the picture for the button and loading a button which are showing which paint is chosen. So in case we want the info, we get information about paint, and we need to click left on the map to paint it. And there is something more, choose paint. So if we click again this button showing us paint, it will prompt the same paint we have chosen, so it will unchoose any paint that it already has just by prompting same name. So this function will be used much often here. And the second one here is the size of our brush. So we can choose some bigger brush as I showed previously, but it doesn't play any role now. This is just switching the brush size. Okay, we go back to this palette menu, and we can switch menu, sub-menu for this menu, which are showing us setting buttons, continuous like roads, rivers and those stuff, terrain, descriptors, so this big list I have in one submenu, climate like warming up or giving more humidity, and generator, so there are buttons with function to execute. So this way we are loading buttons. So now it is important how they are executed. So we are about to execute some buttons, and we're gonna see how does it work. So we have it loaded in the given current menu array, and we have restriction where our menu currently is. So at the beginning at step event I do something which is not so very important, but I'm using it to store some values. So I have a struct for mouse which is catching current behavior of the mouse at the beginning of the step event. So in the step event, K reactions, which is escape and restart, and mouse reactions. So in this case we are checking mouse cooldown timers and so on. It is not so important here because we need it only to check if button is pressed or not, and if it is legal to press or not. So holding a mouse button will execute secondary mouse reaction if it is legal, which in this case is moving many around, because in this case we don't want to have any cooldown during this process. So we have loaded menu, and we checking mouse against map. No, this is moving our map. Here we are checking against clickable buttons. We are about to check against clickable buttons, so we go here, and here we are returning our mouse restriction. So this is where the menu is positioned. So we need to check if the mouse is over area that is restricted. In other case, if it is not in any of those area, it is not above buttons, and we don't have to ask it anymore. So many are not interested. But here we go to the script, and this is checking if our mouse. So those are current position of the mouse, not taken from operating system, but stored at the beginning of the step. Just because we can move in slow FPS mouse during this process, and it is annoying for me. So we are checking if we are at least in some restricted area. If we are, oh, this is wrong. This was bad. How it happens. Okay, so if we are in any area, we return that we are in some restricted area. And in such a case, if we are in the restricted area, so something is returned, so it is not -1. Let's see here again. It is -1 by the beginning, and in any case we are in any of those rectangles, so point in rectangle function, we are in some menu, and we return the index of this restriction. Okay, so if we are in any menu, so if it is higher than -1, we have to swap a picture. So this mouse over picture is important. So we are checking the current arrays of our menu, and if point is in rectangle for some button, so we are checking buttons here, array after array of those templates we loaded. So in case any button is under this rectangle, so if we are in the rectangle of any button, we go back to the button we pushed. We are going to, for example, palette menu. So if we are in this x1, x2, i1, i2 rectangle, we are changing this value, mouse over, which is at the position 6. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0, 1, 2, 3, 6, mouse over. So we're changing the mouse over, and we're returning the mouse over is 1. So this is everything we do. And in case mouse struct return us this is the function of mouse button left, mouse button right. Yeah, you can swap this function, but I feel more secure if I grab it at the beginning, so I don't have to ask every time operating system if the mouse is clicked or not. So we have left clicking on and right clicking on. They're going to the same function later on, but it depends on which button is executed.